Hello, everybody, and welcome to Stat Check episode 196. It is the 18th of August, and this episode is titled Crab versus Boss at the WTC. I'm Ennis. I'm joined by the one, the only, the eponymous, the glorious Pickles. Anthony's here too.
That's right.
Anthony, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing great. I am told this is as good as it gets. Uh, Reigning, defending WTC champions, Team USA. Um, yeah, it's a good time to be us. We did it. We won. Thank you, Team Germany, for shipping it like absolute heroes and taking the French down in the last round. And, good job to the rest of the team for holding it down against Sweden so we could get that draw in the last round to give them their preordained fourth place position and get us over the line into the win.
And I'm sure Sweden are just thrilled about their fourth place.
I think they've probably had better things happen. If I didn't lose a crab 1v3, we'd have won that round too, but alas, so it goes.
Yeah, but crab one threes, as we all know, are very, very volatile affairs, and you should know, based on your past history, that you should never get into stat checks with another army playing the same thing as you, because
I
you just
should
never
never
win
get into
those.
1v3s specifically, apparently, like some kind of absolute
Yeah, dude.
goober.
I mean, you've been on the losing side of one in real life, just the other direction. So,
Ugh, brutal, dude.
oh dearie me. Well, as you guys might have put together, it has been a minute since we've been on the show. There's been an event or two between now and then. Uh,
One might say, man.
a couple things have happened since then. We're here to talk a bit about WTC. We've got myself and Anthony here this week. We're going to talk about how our events went, our thoughts on the whole affair, and what our preparation and our next steps and everything that goes alongside that does, I guess. So Anthony, why don't you tell us all what it's like to win WTC?
Well, it's pretty amazing. I'm going to be honest, I don't even know that it's really like set in somehow still. You could kind of tell from, I mean, you guys got to see like literally every part of my reaction because it was all on stream. From our initial reaction to when we found out when we won to the picture of me holding the banner with like my eyes up towards the sky when it was all over. Yeah, it was uh it was a pretty crazy experience top to bottom, I would say. Um I think more than a lot of other years, in particular this year at the WTC was particularly stressful. With all the penalties flying out, around and down, up and down. It was felt like a very landmine filled event. But yeah, it was crazy. Probably the like quote unquote like bloodiest WTC in quite some time. Like winning with double draw is crazy. I think in most previous years that was not a thing, and I think it really speaks to the kind of inherent volatility of 11th that just no one really could expect how these rounds were going to go round over round. When all the like top end of the event seed ones played each other, it was a mess.
Yeah, it was very interesting, like from kind of the upper middle tables and the top tables to just kind of watch where it kind of was like you couldn't infer anything about how a round was going to go based on how previous rounds had gone.
Yep.
Like two teams would draw and then they would both play the same team and they would like one of them would smash them and one of them would lose and it'd be like,
Yeah.
what is going on?
I mean, that was literally us, France, and Germany, right?
Yeah, I know
Like,
exactly.
we put it on the German team pretty good. It was, a good round where I took the Dark Angels list that everyone was so rightfully afraid of, and through a little luck and a little shine, held them to I got a 6, and then we lit it on fire on the other 7. Except for poor Sam who got big night gaminged. um, and then yeah, then we played France, played them to a draw. Couple little swings in a couple different directions, and I think that could have been, we could have got over the line there, but we'll accept a draw. And then Germany played France and beat on them pretty good. So yeah, it was a very 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 swingy event. I think the nature of both the meta and of kind of 11th in general lead to these
Yeah.
things.
I think
Um,
like one of the things that looking at it with retrospect now, think of looking at it is that we had a lot of our rounds that ended up being very drawish was when just disposition matchups didn't allow pushing. And then some of
right,
the rounds that ended up being blowouts was that just like you're looking and be like, we didn't have any reconnaissance mirrors this round. That makes sense.
right.
Um,
Um,
yeah, those rounds ended up being very stupid affairs.
I mean, I played a recon mirror that I got a 1 in, but it did feel like I was playing against 3,500 points of orcs in that round. So Coptas being less points per wound than boys is certainly a decision that someone was allowed to make.
But
Um,
it's fine. They only move what 24.
22 if they take to the skies, bro.
Why would they need to?
Because you can't turn when you're not taking to the skies. Being able to take to the skies makes that rule so much more powerful. Um, so yeah, it was quite the experience. My voice is obviously still just completely shot.
Absolutely just fucked on both sides. Yep.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I mean it was a pretty crazy affair top to bottom. We had lots of rounds go late. Um, more than once. Our Italy round went late. Our Aussie round went late. Our French round didn't quite go late, but went close to being late. And then obviously the end of the event, that went late also. So every day was a new and exciting way of being stressed. But it was good. I think more so than in previous years, our team really held it together well. The newfound like unity of Team USA really showed through here. I think we were resilient in ways that we had not been in the past. Um, and yeah, I think there was definitely a bit of a mid-event pivot that had to happen when I kind of played the orc game again that I had practiced a fair amount and had not found to be super volatile when I was practicing it. But got there and shot at a pig squad and did 1 damage and was like, oh, okay, if that can just happen, there is no true actual answer to this. Like, I don't have a plan B against the thing that's going to run at me and charge me. Um, so yeah, that was exciting. Yeah, it was a lot of riding the lightning for me personally. My matrix being so volatile, the nature of my army being so volatile, meant that I ended up under the wheels a fair amount. As anyone who has seen my score line and seen what it normally looks like,
Or the
and
episode title.
yeah, um, yeah, and that was okay. I think I was a really well. I think I of the players on our team was really well positioned to be able to do that because I had so much experience and because I had so much faith in the other 7 of us to get it over the line.
Anthony's got that mental, and he had a new tattoo backing him up, which
That's
is
true. I
always
did have a
worth.
new tattoo backing me up, which is on the sand. Hello. Um, but yeah, it's not. I definitely would not describe it as my finest performance ever at a WTC at an individual level, but at a team's level, we fucking won. So,
Can't say better than that.
yeah, beat the Aussies with an 86. I'm gonna call that my one that got us from 85 to 86, and then yeah, there was just we used me to clean things up and get in the way of things. My French opponent called his coach over and was like, "I'm going to take a line that if I get this, 20 owes him right now," which was a little scary to hear at uh, 8 in the morning or whatever that was, because it was like 30 minutes into the round,
The
and
ridiculously early, yeah, the
that
7:30 a.m.
that
right?
was the dumbest thing I think we've ever done. Starting that early, that was crazy. We should not have done that. That was a mistake. Um,
We didn't even get the longer lunch, man. It was
yeah,
still
that was tough.
we got the extra half hour on the rounds though. So
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely. I'm still tired. Still definitely one of the ways that we could have done it. I've maintained that I was not human till halfway through that round and had to be like, all right, focus up, lock in. He hit the charges, fucking don't throw. Um, but yeah, it was spooky. And then yeah, like I said in the Sweden round, I went up 3-1 on the crab fight and was like, I got this, 20, here we go, and then lost all of mine while his ended the game on the board. And I was like, okay. Uh,
I do think that's about average. Defilers are unkillable, I hear. So
fuck it. And that's not been my experience.
nor mine, brother.
Every single time I got hit by a flash kit squad, I took 14 or more this weekend on a Defiler. I was like, all right, that's cool. Um, but, it is what it is. I am looking forward to a game state that allows me to get back to playing MSU, Hero Hammer, Melee. Um, so whenever that happens, you'll see me back into 40K. And until that happens, I am going to probably take a pretty long break. But I will be reffing at Challengers. I'll probably stay in non-playing role stuff for a while. But as far as Anthony the Pilot goes, he is taking a break.
That makes sense.
How was
So
your WTC, dude?
I had a very odd WTC. Team Scotland came into this event. It's our first year as a Seed 1 country. Probably our, not going to be our continuation for that one. I think 16th place is not going to keep us in Seed 1. We'll see. And we had an interesting tournament. It definitely was a much tougher run than last year in terms of like the teams we played against. Like last year, we played against one Seed 1 team. Outside of Paula, we played against Netherlands, and we played against Netherlands. We played against Australia, and this year we played against. I want to say it was about the same, but it felt much tougher. Like we played, we got our first 2 wins against Slovakia and Lithuania. Then we played Spain, who ended up finishing 3rd, which was, by all accounts, a fairly tough Seed 2 to pull. Which, fair enough. Someone's got to play them, and we lost pretty bad that round. Then we came out of that and we paired into. Oh God, who did we come out of that pair into? Was that when we played Portugal? I think we came out and we paired into Portugal and got a draw.
Mm-hmm.
Then we paired Denmark and got a win, which was pretty good. And we got a pretty big win into Denmark, which is nice. We paired Denmark very close last year. I think they were around 7. We beat them 87, 73, which is tight as tight can be. And this round, we put 111 on them, which felt really good. It was like the one round against like a good C2 team that felt like our comp really did what it was meant to do. Our players all had their jobs and they all did them, and that felt great. And then we played Poland and we got a draw, and we were like, okay, cool. We can draw Portugal and Poland. Those are two teams that are roughly equivalent in my mind, of course. Yeah, that's exactly how I would describe Portugal and Poland.
And every year that's ever happened before this one, especially.
Yeah, exactly. Portugal and Poland just about the same to me. And then we got, a really, really tough run into Italy, and we lost pretty bad again. And it was a weird one for that because it just felt like, I don't know if we were just. I got a lot of thoughts about how the team came together this year, but it mostly felt like we didn't have the ways to push down right, or that we didn't understand the matchup matrix well enough for how dispositions would affect it. One of the big things we came out of the event with was like, we should have left our EC on reconnaissance, and we should not have moved our EC to reconnaissance. It never mattered that they were reconnaissance instead of recon, and we contorted our comp a bunch to make that change happen, and it didn't help with the orc matchup. It never played the orc matchup, and that was one of the reasons that we made. Sure, but that was one of the reasons we made the change, right? Like, was having chat about it was one of the reasons we made the change is because it made the orc matchup less, more playable.
Doable.
And then we either never got it or it didn't matter when we did, right? I know that your games against it. How much did it change? Would you been smashed anyway?
No, I mean, I would have gotten a 0 against the Aussies for sure.
Sure.
And I definitely didn't have to get a 0 against Italy. There was just some confluence of things that led to that. I think ultimately, at the end of the day, the right call for EC was probably just to play. You either play it with brutes and you play it take and hold if you can afford the take and hold slot, or you play it with coterie and you just force a slower game. You play a priority. You leverage the ignore mod strat because of how much more powerful that is in 11th. But this is a casualty of like,
we had 5 days, right? Like 100%, right? Like I'm not going to sit here and say like this was an event which was a race to an understanding, and our understanding feels like something for it didn't click for us. Our pushers couldn't push quite hard enough. Our blunters couldn't blunt quite hard enough. And in the rounds against, like Poland and Portugal, we ended up like our Portugal round was like, I got a 20, Gus got a 20 on either side. They got 2-12-8s, we got a 15-5, and every other game was a 10. And it's
Mm-hmm.
just like, and I felt like our game into Poland was the same. We had like 116, 114. They had like a 14, and then it was like 11, 12, 8, 6, 5. And it's just like, fucking, okay. It averages out. That's fine. And you're just like, it's sick that we got to draw into Poland, right? We're super
Uh,
proud of that, right?
yeah,
But also to just look at it and be like, man, I don't really. There was no pushes. No one had opportunity to do anything besides the thing that was happening, and that felt very strange because we had brought our comp with the idea of being that it had a lot of very aggressive armies. For anyone who doesn't know, we had Company of Hunters Dark. We had Company of Hunters Darkfly, which was a very good aggressive army. We had Kotri,
mm-hmm.
Carnival of Excess, which is a very aggressive scouting army. We had Montka, very aggressive scouting army. We had Equatorial Horde, very aggressive scouting army. And then as our sort of like, all rounder rules, we had the 18 Alaris list for Lines of the Emperor. We had the GSC 3x1 disruption list. We had the Necron's Curse Legion list, which ended up being probably our third best performing list over the weekend after the Equatorial Horde and the Dark Angels.
Yep.
And then our last spot was Pact Band, which is in theory meant to be quite a stable list. That ended up feeling like it wasn't very stable and wasn't a good use of the prio slot. The 3x1 GSC did fine every time we paired it into not orcs, but really had a tough time into orcs, which I think was just the story of the tournament, was that all orc blunters were just not orc blunters, and that just wasn't a goddamn thing. And that you just died to orcs regardless.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is that in their current rendition, orcs are playing with about 2,600 points on the table. Um, and if you bounce off any portion of that, you just get slaughtered.
Yeah. Like, I think we had like a couple rounds where we got our orcs into their orcs and it went well. Like we got the Equatorial into the big hunt list, and I
Right.
think they did not meaningfully play past turn two, uh,
Sure. Yeah.
because they were like, it is turn two, we have 7 minutes left. Pass turn, pass turn, pass turn, pass turn.
Yeah.
One of those ones. Because like neither of them was willing to take a game action.
Yeah.
And then like I got a 13 into the Spanish Green Tide list, which was like did a bit of a like half send on turn one. Definitely could have gotten a bigger win if that goes well, but it didn't. And then it falls into that like reconnaissance versus taking hold. You get like a small win, right? Like it just,
Yeah.
and that was, and other than that, I felt like we were just getting farmed by orcs every round. Like they were playing our GSE or, some of that, or, flipping into the Tau, and it just didn't go well.
Yep.
Um,
I would say my major takeaway from this is that as an individual, this is probably obviously like ignoring the fact that I was riding the lightning for a second. The way 11th kind of functions with its very snowbally nature, I just don't find particularly interesting. Um, I had no business scoring a 1 in that game where I scored a 1. I was like all the way tabled on 3. Um, and that's absurd. Um, like the EC mirror that I played was a mess. The Bile game that I played was a mess. The game that I played into basically every post pod game that I played were just like woo. Um, and some of that is brought on. Like I think the Bile game could have been something approximating like a fairly normal game if he had not seen and gone for a line that involved a bunch of 9-inch charges, right? But yeah, I mean, again, it's hard to be uh mad about the end result. Obviously, super thrilled we
yeah, but the
won.
process being
The journey
process was a disaster, right?
the journey was tough. I would say that the prep this year, um, I would say that the prep this year is more burnout than I've probably ever had in a previous year.
Thanks,
Whoa,
Tim. Thank you for the
whoa,
$100 super chat. Big congrats. Well done to Team USA.
thank you.
And the same
Uh,
thing to Daniel Paolini 247. Glad to see you guys home and safe. Congrats, Han. Long time coming. Thank you for the $10, Daniel.
yeah,
Yeah, this year's been the amount of shit we did this
it
year
was
to
hard.
prep for this event was a lot. And like obviously, the rewards were very, very obvious for you guys in the sense that it was afterwards, but the amount of work that went into it, the only real feasible result that was going to be anyway satisfying was like top two, right?
Right. Yeah, 100%. I mean, for us, it was, I had a fair amount of work stuff going on at the same time as the prep window, and I tried to leverage that time such that I did what I could in the lead up, and then like the late slate made that kind of like bounce a bit, and then I tried to use whatever time I had left in that late slate window before list sub, but that left me not a lot of time to work with in the like post oppo window. Um, so
Yeah, the
yeah,
Opera window, like I felt like I just didn't partake in this year. It
I just
almost felt
didn't
like,
have it. I played like
yeah.
3 or 4 games in that window. It was hard to get anything meaningfully done just because the time,
Everybody's
man.
and everybody's lists were so divergent as well, which made it really hard to be like, okay, let's, you know, I know I was speaking to, I think it was Folger about it. He was like, yeah, I prepped France. I didn't look at Australia. I didn't have time to figure out what those lists were doing. There
Right.
just wasn't a window for that
Well,
because
you also end up with negative experience if you do that, right? You and I have talked about this in the past, but like it's
exactly.
very easy to have like just like someone on the team play a list into you to just be like, hey, look at what this is just trying to do. Try and give me a reasonable rep into it. But that is unlikely to land in a space where you actually come away with meaningful matchup data and instead don't go into it overconfident in a wrong matrix.
Yeah, very easy to do. But yeah, it was certainly interesting. On a personal level, it was great. I got my first 7-0 at WTC, which I hadn't done in the
Woo-hoo.
years of being here, so that was nice. Dark Angel's super turbo broken, just the stupidest.
Yeah.
Um,
Those planes were fucked up when I played them, dude. You didn't even have
dude,
those.
it's crazy that you get like, you get about the same amount of points orcs do.
Yeah, it felt like it.
um, yeah, the German list that went, I think 6-0-1 for Arna with the dark flight with the Thunder Cowl turbines, Nephilim jet fighters seemed very interesting. I had a bunch of games that were just like not games. I think I had 4 20-0s that were just on, and then I went first and you died.
Yeah.
Um, and then like 3 games that were 11s and 13s,
I think
where
a
I like
world
went second.
I think a world where this event was played without Dawn of War and sweeping and maybe absent the last 8 months of releases is probably the most fun WTC we've ever played on.
I
But
think that there were so many ways a list could be good, and the disposition system feels so close to generating that, where it's like you can build an army that does its thing, but it's just too easy to score for some of them. And then, yeah, Dawn and Sweeping creating like disaster class scenarios. But like, even with that, I
it's
don't
too
know if that changes what like my army was doing because I was doing that to people on Tipping and Crucible as well, and it wasn't changing anything.
I think that it
But
it
that's a
op-
problem with like Scout more so than there's a
I
problem with like those
I
layouts, right?
I don't even think that had to have been. I think that if someone dies to you on top one in sweeping and crucible, they have opted into that happening.
That's potentially fair. I mean, some
They're
armies just
so
don't have
far
it.
away.
Some armies just don't have a choice, right? Like if you go first and roll like a 5 or 6 on the advance, it's just like there's no downside to going, right?
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
some armies just don't have an option besides being like, I have to be near the middle objective. Otherwise, if I go second, I just lose as well.
should probably
Which,
infiltrate something up there then, big dog. Like,
but there's only like there's only so many places to infiltrate, right?
yeah,
And so I have a scout squad. I'm gonna block an avenue, right? Like you don't get everywhere.
yep.
Same thing in Tipping Point. Like I charged my opponent behind their natural expansion in Tipping Point on one in one of my games
I mean,
through a
scout
scout
of
block.
more than 6 is trolling.
Scout of 6 is trolling as well, like in so many situations. Like I played a game. This was a Dawn game. My game against Denmark. Um, Simon all in to be in my DZ on one and was touching my backboard edge with a keeper of secrets. That
Yeah, it's
didn't
very.
scout and didn't advance. Basically, it was like in my DZ on my expansion objective, and
I wish there was
uh,
just more incentive for both holding objectives and playing the game.
yeah, I kind of hate your home objective not scoring in basically any mission, but I also hate that only holding one objective is most of what matters, and that so many points are end of turn scoring. So there's so few interaction points besides being like you're dead now.
Yeah.
Um,
They also
they
should
like
probably get rid of all those end of battle things that don't conflict with end of round scoring. That shit is silly.
yeah, playing against like like obviously I was playing Recon this weekend, so a lot of my experience, I think I played against Taken Hold, like across War Masters and WTC, like 7 of my 13 games.
Hmm.
And if you don't put your foot through that man's forehead by the end of two, they're scoring diff. It doesn't matter what
Yeah.
you goddamn do. Like they like walk forward, get 10 on primary. They don't have to do jack shit besides be on an objective and kill a thing. It's
Yep.
such insanity that like the games are so like I played a game against a couple games against like Imperial Knights and things like that where I tabled them on turn three and they got like 44 primary having never left their deployment zone. And I'm like, okay, that's still a 20 because they didn't score any secondaries. Or, they got like 29 primary and 15 on secondaries. It's like, okay, cool. 44, that's a 20. And then I play like one game. I played like my game against Miguel from Team Spain where, I send it on turn one, I leave a unit alive on, I don't quite kill a full unit. He then walks out, walks onto some objectives, regrows onto some primary, and it's like, okay, well, I'm not full sending at an orc army again. I guess I'll just slowly grind a small win. And it's just
Yep.
like, okay, you can do that, but like it's all just so volatile that one missed turn of scoring, one missed turn of getting your like 6 in your force deployment zone for that quarter in Search and Destroy, getting them saving a CP to get a heroic or something like that can
Yep.
just flip a game so quickly because it's so easy to score. My game against Skark, he like turn one drew like 2 5-point cards, scored them, stood in the middle objective, scored a 16-point turn one into a 20 into a 27-point turn two by pushing the button on his expansion objective in the recon mirror and scoring 2 cards. I'm like, oh, okay, never better than a 12. Literally, just will
Can't.
never be better than a 12.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like I think I don't think I dropped more than like 30 primary all event or 30 points all event, right? And like most of that was, part of that is like playing a character like Azrael who gives you a CP means that I didn't discard a card in. I don't think I discarded a card in 13 games. Maybe once when Azrael had died and I was like locked in for like the 95 anyway. I discarded a card, but it
Hmm.
just felt like there was so little incentive to do that if you have any CP generation, and that feels dangerous because it makes it very have or have not for CP generation. I don't know how you felt about that. Like, how did your card scoring feel over the week?
I mean, my card scoring was just like I hoped I drew good ones because EC doesn't have any
Yeah,
generation
exactly.
outside of hope I hit it.
Hope you hit a leadership check. Yeah.
Um, and my non-possessed blade exultant was not feeling up to the task this weekend. Uh,
That guy just didn't have it.
yeah. I mean, this is probably as good a time as any to talk about it. I think the EC list, obviously, based on me recommending that people play Coterie or Brutes, and I wouldn't even necessarily take Terminators. I would just play Brutes for Taken Hold. Um, I think both of those builds are a lot more stable in what they're trying to do.
I don't think we were
Um,
ever recommending 3 defilers in singles play, right? That felt like a thing that would
no,
be,
no, no, no. Well, there's too much likelihood that you run into Dawn, right? The 3 defiler thing was always predicated on it not playing Dawn.
or it
Um,
playing Dawn against people that couldn't shoot it, right?
that just
Like,
had no guns at all, right?
yeah, cool.
So
Godspeed, Mr. World Eater. You can play
right,
some Dawn against me where you can deploy nowhere and die on your deployment zone.
sure. And if I ever got to play a world leader, then that would have been sick. But alas, that did not happen. Um, the the reality is that like kind of when the rubber hit the road, once we were at the event with the meta that was there, the way the list was put together, I think had a lot of flaws, and my lack of time in the oppo window to practice them meant that I didn't really know that as well as I probably could have. I tried to do as best I could scouting things for during the War Masters and leaning on Axel's experience from playing the War Masters and stuff like that. Um, but at the end of the day, the list was probably or best served as just being something slightly different.
Yeah, we
Um,
kind of found the same. Is that we brought that to be one of our big pusher lists, and then it didn't quite land in that role, and that made it very, very hard to audible because a lot of our other lists were like blunting space, right? Which just
right.
when your pusher list becomes a blunting list and you don't have a blunting list, you can't just be like, this blunting list is now a pushing list. That's just kind of not how it
That's not
works.
how it works. Yeah, and I think there was room there for that. It's hard to look back on and be like, yes, obviously, because we did have 3 nations testing the same list and kind of all land in the same
Yeah,
spot.
we were all like, yeah, this list feels great. It's working well in
It was
practice.
crushing in practice. It was doing so well. So it's hard to like look back and be like, oh yeah, obviously, because it wasn't that obvious, I don't think.
No, I
But
think that like there's a space of we all came into this with our own assumptions that defilers are good, and I still think defilers are a good data sheet. But I also could acknowledge that the people knew defilers were good and made a conscious decision to not bring as many of them because people knew
yeah,
they were good, right? And I think that our internal practice, as with anything else, right, despite making the group 60 players instead of 20 to 30 players,
right.
still is one group,
Yep.
and it will always have some degree of everybody sees the results together and looks at them together and goes, "Yeah, that seems correct."
Right.
Um, I definitely think that like some of the things that stood out to me was stuff like the Curse Legion Necrons list being really solid. I think we were all like, I don't know
That
how
shit
you guys felt,
rocked.
but our shit, we were so happy with the Curse Legion list.
Yeah.
It did great for us.
Bless the Void Dragon, dude. Big matchup swinger.
Yeah. I definitely sat there and I kind of like looked at our comp and I was like, I can see like the 4 changes that I would make that would have made this comp be like that would have made me be really happy with this comp. I definitely think that we could have done more exploration to the Blood Legion stuff because that shit did end up being pretty solid, and I think would have been a better purge slot for us than the Curse Legion would have been, and then we could have had the Curse Legion like either as a backup purge or just like not have it. So for us, it would have probably ended up being something like Dan on the Purge the Foe Blood Legion list opens up Bruce to play Emperor's Children as something.
We could have just
Opens
played
up,
Coterie, right? Because he'd played it a bunch.
yeah, exactly. Opens up that for us, which then opens up like Scott to play a Prio army. If we move that, and then like we don't, and then maybe the disruption army goes into being like we just like leave the EC as a disruption even and just like suck that up and just be like, look, it worked. Like Canada did that. It worked pretty well for Canada, right? Like I'm not going to sit here and say that it wasn't like still a functional disruption army. I think there were definitely a bunch of ways that we could have adapted that in the space. I
Canada
know that
played Coterie, didn't they?
no, Canada played Carnival Disruption. Canada had Orcs and DC both on Disruption.
Hmm. I feel like that
Um,
wasn't true, but maybe it was.
so yeah, I definitely think there was like a lot of things, and we zoned in on the Blood Legion Warp Tide thing, and kind of found that that wasn't doing what we wanted. But I think
Yeah.
we could have done more with the Blood Legion Cavalcade, and I know Joel was pushing for it really reasonably hard and landed on the Shadow Legion version of it.
Right.
But like I don't know, we watched that list and testing a bunch, and it just never quite came together. Seeing that list get like a 10 into Sisters did not fill me with joy. Did not fill me with joy. Um, but that's just the danger with having a couple weeks to figure stuff out, right?
Yep.
So yeah, I think congratulations to the teams that nailed it. You guys did great. I particularly enjoyed seeing some of the like massive. It was very funny seeing some of the teams like Australia have some lists that just like very clearly ripped, right? Like Hackett's taking old Necron's list, Eric's Synaptic Nexus list, and some lists that and the Speedwall list, and some lists that just like didn't have it like that, like the Blood Angels list, which
Right.
just I think had a fairly disappointing weekend. But yeah, it's very, very interesting to kind of see where some teams landed and some teams didn't. And I think, yeah, I think it's always going to be a case. I certainly don't know if you guys if either of our teams would bring Pack Pound again if we had the choice of going back and redoing like anything.
No, I mean, like, the pack bound was a last minute, like, we have an issue, this needs solving. And
Yeah.
through the event, it did pretty good, but, could that have been something else doing that, right? Like, I think in the end, Sam ultimately did really extremely well. He should be very proud of his
Oh yeah, no,
performance.
look, for absolutely no fault to like the people who played it. Like Sam was an integral part of you guys winning that tournament, but would he have been more functional on a more stable prio list? I think that's probably fair, right? Like, I think
Yeah.
the
I mean,
the
just
the,
the
the
Norns, right?
defilers. Yeah, I mean the Norns. There's even just something like I know Bjorn had a fantastic weekend on Votan, for example, right, as the Votan prio list.
I mean, I don't know what it is, but America and Votan is just fucking oil and water,
We
dude. I don't
kind of
know.
had the same thing, right? But yeah, but like I know Bjorn had a fantastic go with those things.
Right.
So it's very interesting because like obviously all of our team comps ended up very convergent, right? We had like 4 or 5 lists that were like almost point for
Yeah.
points the same, but our like divergences so drastically changed the way the comps came together and
Yep.
what lists had what jobs, which yeah, it makes it very interesting from the like preparation, scouting, and reflection front. I'm looking forward to sitting down and going through all of our rounds and all of our data, which armies causes problems, which disposition matchups were we getting wins in, and which ones we weren't. I don't know how for me as a person doing pairings, I kind of zoned out of disposition matchups because I basically just assumed that my players had incorporated them into their matrices, and I don't know how
And they
like
should have done.
it feels like that's what you should be doing. But I think that one of the things that I would definitely want to step out from that and kind of look into is having a better understanding grid for grid of which disposition matchups are more or less open to stable games. Like for example, the taken hold versus reconnaissance game or the reconnaissance mirror match, just both being very like, yeah, we probably both score a bunch of primary. There's not
If
really if one of you doesn't get tabled, right?
yeah,
Which is like so the kind of thing that I want to try to pull out for myself is which disposition matchups exacerbate like matchup imbalance and which disposition matchups flatten it. Because some matchups, it's like if it's what's the phrase I'm kind of looking for is like if you have like a 55-45 matchup, right? Like a small green or like a
yeah,
like a high yellow, maybe leaning up to like a middle green, right? Like averaging like estimation being like between a 10 and a 14, right? Or the inverse of like a
sure.
10 to a 6. Which of those ones get blown out by their disposition matchup and get pushed up to like 0 to 5 instead, and which ones get flattened down to like so if you have a reconnaissance mirror match, but it's like, yeah, I'm favored. Okay, but it doesn't really matter that you're favored. You have to be like strongly favored, or that matchup's going to be a 12, right? Like
Right.
a 14 is a 12 in a reconnaissance mirror match. Whereas when I look at like a reconnaissance versus purge the foe game, I know that if a matchup is a 12, it's going to be a 15 for one of you because
Right.
one of you is going to get ahead and it's going to snowball and there's nothing you can do about that.
Unless
But if
you wash out, right?
unless you just table each other, in
Yeah.
which case the person who tables the other person is gonna get the 20, right? It
Right.
feels very much like there's a lot more of that than I think I was initially pushing my players to give me the information for. And again, that just kind of feels like it's one of those things that we had a month. There was only so many I literally couldn't play every disposition game, right? Like what
Yep.
were you gonna do? You were gonna play every disposition matchup. That's 25
Well,
missions if you want to play every side of it.
again, that would have been totally reasonable in a world where a bunch of armies didn't lose their dispo. So like I don't think I talked about this publicly much, but like going into the slate, I was playing Purge with a backup plan of priority assets. And we woke up on Wednesday morning and neither of those were an option anymore. And that was
Gaming?
pretty devastating is how I would describe it.
Yeah, we had Dan in the same boat, right? Dan had
Yeah.
functionally only played Purge. He played 30, 40 reps of Purge, and he was just on EC Purge the whole time.
Yep.
And then he was told he could not play Purge anymore. And it was like, well, you're going to go and learn another dispo in 5 days, dude.
Right.
And that was just really, really, really shit
And
to
the
have to do.
position that I fell into was that like I mean you were there at our practice weekend. I had
Yeah.
not scored less than like a 16 as EC. And then we switched to like, oh well, let's try it as disruption. Let's see what it does. And I got 3 zeros, and I was like,
Can't do
well,
that then. I'm not doing that.
that can't be the right answer. And then I played a couple games as recon where I went back to scoring really well, and I was like, we solved it. That didn't end up being the case. But
But like,
again, in a
how are you meant to figure that out, right? Like,
how are you? Yeah.
I don't think
um,
any team is going to sit here and be like, we got everything perfect, right? And I think that teams that I don't want to say lucked into being right about their read, but it kind of feels a little bit like lucked into being right about their
yeah.
read because frankly, on the amount of time we had, you just didn't have the capacity to be confident you nailed it,
Right.
and that then opened up a bunch of did your read and your opponent's read line up well, which I think is what's exacerbating some of those matchup imbalances I was talking about, where you would look at like two teams that drew each other, and then those teams would both play a different team, and one of them would lose and one of them would blow it out, right? As you're
Right.
saying, a lot of that because feels like it's coming from exacerbations from that matchup spread of just being like you're a team that thought this was going to be the way to play the game. You played against like you brought rock, that team brought scissors, and you played against another rock team, and it was just like very, very, very self-destructive. Where if you walked into a roster that you just like, some of our matrices, we would walk into around, you'd be like, four of my players don't have a green. I don't know what I'm meant. Then you just be like,
Yeah.
and then you just end up pairing them into like their yellows, and then that's how you end up with like our Portugal round because there was just nothing to do. You're just like,
Yeah.
I've got, great. And then you had like the two broken armies. Like my orc player would walk in being like, those four armies are built for orcs. Those four all 20. And I would walk in and have 8 greens for every. I don't think I had a yellow on my matrix.
Right.
And you know, accurate. It feels like Dark Angels is probably outside of orcs the best army of the tournament. It felt like it just did its job every round.
I just don't like. There needs to be less.
Points.
No, less focus on just like always playing the most up to date rules. I've had this opinion for a long time, but like if we played just not with that last slate, I don't think that last slate had enough of an impact in a positive sense on the game to be like, man, we really needed to be playing with that. And all it did was just throw all of our dispos into the air.
Yeah, but I got to play Darkflight Company of Hunters instead of whatever the fuck else I was gonna play.
Yeah, I mean,
So
you would have had to play some other broken as fuck Marine build. I don't feel bad for you.
I feel bad for me. I would have definitely scored 80 diff playing Inner Circle Task Force. No,
I
I
mean, you just
actually
wouldn't
think
have played that,
I would
though,
have probably
right?
ended up playing Forge Fathers, I think.
Yeah, or you would have played fucking Ceramite or whatever. There was 1,000 things you could have played.
Down with Ceramite. Team Canada are crazy for that.
But like, yeah, I really wish that we had played without it in the end.
I mean, yeah, and I know that as always people will be raging about this one, but just move WTC.
I mean, move WTC is the like obvious right answer, but we
There
do.
is so much entropy for that one of the teams that vote. The teams will vote for the thing that is the time that they are used to because it's the event that they can attend, and
Right.
that will always be challenging. Um, and yeah, I do think wouldn't or the strong alternative move it to the end of the month. It doesn't have to be the first 2 weeks.
I don't even. How much does that really change?
Adding 2 weeks to that process would have helped a lot.
That's true. But would we have not just gotten hit by whatever slate comes out in this month now?
Well, no,
And,
because
and then,
like the process would be instead because if we're expecting the slate in August, it's either tomorrow or the 26th, right? List submission would have happened already.
yeah, but then everyone would have went, oh, well, it's not the most up-to-date rules. Why do I even watch this event?
That's going to happen regardless, as long as we decide we want to have lists more than a week in advance, right? That's just
Yeah,
the
look,
game.
I'm on board, dude. I don't care about that particular detail at all. But
Do you think people would have watched anyway? I think people would have watched
people
anyway.
absolutely would have watched anyway. The entire time that argument has been
I don't think
absolutely ridiculous.
I don't think it would have done as well if it was 10th edition. I do think that that's true.
I don't think I think if we played in May, it wouldn't have mattered at all. I think people
That's
would have
also
just watched because it was WTC.
people would have watched a bunch of defilers killing each other. Yeah, it would have been great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's most broadly WTC. I know that I'm going to record a full breakdown on at least my War Masters run and probably Team Scotland's WTC run. I think I might be doing that with another channel. They had reached out and asked for an interview, so I might do that. But I'll definitely have some bonus content coming up for it. Anthony, I imagine you'll be doing a Team USA podcast in length and glory.
Yes. We'll probably do like a series of episodes where we go through each person on the team and talk through their experience through the year and stuff like that. Once John and I have had, a couple days to take even a single breath.
I'll put the standing offer out. If any Team USA member wants to come on the show next week, we'll have you on as well.
Cool.
Sam
get
Pope,
some
you're my
people
first
on.
choice, though. I want Sam to know that you're my first choice, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been very, very interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing all the content that comes out of it now because there is going to be so much floodgates opening on like how people feel about the game and all that kind of stuff. And I'm very much looking forward to being able to partake in that a bit more. It's been, odd being in the complete like the zone of I can't really talk about that. And
Right.
I'm looking forward to the next 10 months of being able to talk about Warhammer properly and in the open again. But yeah, that is an easy intro to WTC. Anthony, do you want to thank your team?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I wrote up a whole thing in the Team USA Discord about this already, but for me as an individual, this is I mean, it's got to be like the single most significant competitive endeavor and accomplishment that I've ever had. For a lot of ways, as someone that didn't like graduate from college or have major life milestones like that, this is, one of the more significant things I've ever done in my entire life. Truly an incredible feeling. And amazing to be part of a team that was so resilient and so unified in the face of so much adversity that we kind of ran into between the heat of the hall and the difficulty overcoming the mental effect of these tight wins and these draws and these late rounds and all this stuff. Honored and grateful to be a part of such a good unit. Yeah, keep the fish wet. That was our round chant twice.
Yeah, you guys did amazing. It was truly a joy to watch and to be a small part of your process, and I very much am looking forward to seeing where you guys go from here. Got to go for the three-peat now, right? That's the next
I mean,
achievement.
the record set. It will probably for a little while be my last year as a player. I don't know if that's going to be a 1 year thing or a 2 year thing just yet, but that late slate combined with that late ruling on how charges works really broke me. Um, and I kept a positive face on it through the event, and I, was mentally strong in the face of being beneath the wheels. But man, I was
I don't think someone did that charge thing to me a single time, and I didn't do it a single time,
yep,
which was nice.
which is all the more inane. We definitely had some lists that were really good at abusing it, so we definitely used it.
Oh, and Nemo, I bet, was salivating the whole time.
I mean, our excess list was really good with that. There was a bunch of lists that we took that were just,
Yeah, turns out
banger.
5 Deathwing Knights not that interested in that rule.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd like all of them to punch you, actually. They don't have that many
Um,
attacks.
so yeah, it was a matter of trying to figure out what was the best way to handle that, right? But yeah, really proud of the team. Really proud of especially all the
For
new
anyone who
guys.
doesn't know, the charge ruling is basically that there is
I'll
by
post a
the
video in the Stat Check Patreon
but
in general, and that will show you how it
by
works.
the
Go.
strictly most technical definition of the rules, there is no order that you must move your models in the charge phase. So if you move your first model, which is one that can't get within engagement range, and you put it somewhere where it leashes the rest of the squad to its 9-inch coherency in such a way that they can't get within one, you can prevent yourself from having to go too close to your opponent for whatever reason that would be beneficial to you, whether it's being able to consolidate back to an objective,
There's
orbiting
a
around them, generating overrun fights, preventing heroics, stopping a character from hitting you. There's so much crap you can do with it if the opportunity is correct.
The
And that is
video is loading in the Stat Check Patreon Discord in
dangerous.
the general channel now. If you are that interested in it, join, subscribe to our Patreon, and go take a look.
It's very dodgy. I did a bunch of it in practice games. It never really needed to come up in physical games. I like hitting people with all my attacks too much, but it's bad. It's real bad. All right. As people might have noticed, I've got no Nathan this week. Nathan's been a little busy. So is Jeremy. So we don't have stats this week. What I will say is the dashboard has updated with data from, I believe, the week before this one. So if you can go and check, you can go and check out stat-check.com/the-meta, and you can see all the data we have up to date right now. But we will have it filling in when we can, but I don't have anything to talk to you guys about today. What I would recommend is going and checking out listhammer.info/WTC. It has become one of the most viewed tabs on my phone because obviously I was on that site, during bathroom breaks, during WTC, during the main event, all that kind of stuff, just keeping an eye on everything and making sure that I knew what was going on. Because it was fantastic to like see all the results streaming in, and I strongly recommend it. I also want to shout out that someone made a site that I'm going to go and see if I can find really quickly that was like a log of every stream game from WTC and what matchups there were and all that kind of stuff.
That's cool.
Because and I will try and find a link to that. I can't remember what Discord it was in now. Crap. But it was really, really good. He said, having not favorited it. Here we go. Librariummilitaris.com. It has a log and it's tagged with the players and the events and all the armies and stuff like that. I strongly recommend giving it a check out if you want to watch, because there were so many streams at WTC. Now there were downsides to that, but there were a lot of upsides, which is that there's so many incredible games of Warhammer logged that you guys can go and watch if you want to just see a bunch of cool shit about 40k. I'm going to do the plugs and then we're going to do questions. And Anthony doesn't have to leave it for a team call for a change, which is nice.
Yeah, wahoo!
All right. I suppose I'll do my bit as well and say hey, Team Scotland, you guys are fucking rock stars. I was so proud to take part of this event with you, and we only dropped 1 point. We only dropped 1 point from last year. Let's not worry too much about it. We're gonna be all right.
You guys should not be in any way, shape, or form even vaguely sad about your overall finishing. Playing the team that finished seventh in the last round is like a classic Scotland scam, and you guys
we're
had Spain as your pool too. It's
we're
okay.
we're a little sad. I think we're allowed to be a little sad. Give me
Yeah,
a week to figure it out, and then I'll be back to being okay.
yeah.
Um,
I'm just saying, as far as circumstances go, you got fucked at basically every opportunity. I feel like it's okay.
I think it's fine too, but I'm still gonna be upset about it. I will say I really enjoyed my round five opponent or my round seven opponent last round, who was the guy stopping me from getting my 7-0, being like, I feel like this matchup is really bad for you on like the bottom of three when he's up like 40 points. I'm like, you've not played against Recon very much, have you? As I proceeded, as the line proceeded to dog walk the rest of his army.
Oh no.
I charged the line at the 4 broadside and split attacks 4 and 4.
Get got, nerd.
Yeah, dude, just kill it all, right? Massive shout out to Ben as well. Oh, I also won something at WTC this year, which was kind of cool.
You did. You
They
should
were
talk
like,
about
"Hey,
that.
you're like semi-notable in the community or something like that." I don't think semi was the word. I
That's
don't.
not.
I don't think I actually heard what Jay said, but I think it was something like, "This guy beats you with a smile on his face, and for some reason you enjoy it." Which, whatever. It's an interesting way, but I won like a giant frame picture of myself and got called the WC ambassador, which I think means I have diplomatic immunity against judge calls.
I mean, that's
Which I
very valuable this year.
I will be abusing. So yeah, massive thanks. I believe Joe from Wargames Live was also given the same award. Massive shout out to him. He's done a lot for the community in terms of legitimizing and developing competitive 40k. And yeah, thank you very much to WTC and the community for recognizing all the work that goes into being Innes Wilson, which apparently is
It's
some
quite a
amount.
bit.
It's been a weird year. I also got a plush pierogi from Team Poland, which
Oh my god, my
dude,
little
I get
boy, dude.
I
My
get so
baby
many
boy
pl-
Peter.
I get so many plushes. Plushes are apparently my new favorite thing.
Yes.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I got 7 shirt swaps this year as well, which is good. Seven's a good number.
I came home with more shirts than I was hoping to, but that's okay.
Oh, more Team USA shirts.
Yeah. But
Did
it's
people
okay.
just not want swaps with you?
I just was slow about offering them, and I brought a couple extras to the bar on the last night and was like, maybe, but it didn't pan out. It's fine. I have a
Well,
couple.
I am glad I made the offer, Anthony.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, having them from the year we won is not like the end of the world. That's probably fine. But yeah,
Might be why I wanted one.
whatever, man.
No, for sure. All right, I'm gonna go and grab the plugs, and then we'll get into some questions. I'm so tired. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching the show so far. We're going to continue after these messages with some questions. But first of all, thank you to everybody who's watching. Please do remember to do all the usual social media stuff. That's liking, commenting, subscribing, and all the usual social media stuff. We do our best to respond to all the content, or at least me and Nathan do. Anthony's never once looked at the YouTube dashboard,
And I'm never gonna.
I don't even think he's signed in. But yeah, it's greatly appreciated. If you'd like to support us a little bit more and you're in a position to do so financially, you can check out patreon.com/statcheck or youtube.com/member. I don't know what the YouTube link is. It's in the description box. That's what I usually say. I'm doing bad, Anthony.
You got this,
tough.
dude. You're so
This is
close.
tough.
You're so close.
Very
Questions and we
clearly
can get out
not.
of here, dude. Focus.
Very clearly not close. You can get access to our Patreon Discord as well as discount codes to the Red Dragon. There's discount codes to all of our other sponsors in the description box below. But special shout out to Red Dragon, Will and Yutani, J15 Games, and Saltar Games, all of whom help make your life easier for 40k. I do love a wee bit of nice terrain to play on, and I do love getting our awesome dice. Team Scotland's dice were so good this year. I love
true.
the big square ones. If you want to catch any of the other shows on our network, you can check out youtube.com/statcheck. I am very looking forward to hearing what this next episode of End of the Matrix comes out when it comes out in between the next 3 and 6 months. I'm sure at some point they'll make one. But yeah, we got a bunch of awesome team events coming up. I know that we've got a team event for StatCheck for GW Open Krakow in September, and we've also got a team event coming up, a couple of team events in Scotland and a team event in Belgium that we're attending. So for September and October, so we will have a bunch of teams content coming out. If you WTC has ignited your fix and you want a bunch more, End of the Matrix is the place to be for all of that, as well as the bonus content that goes onto the YouTube channel. If you want to work with any of our coaches, including world famous Sam Pope and Nemo the Fish, you can check out Patreon, stat-tech.com/coaching,
There
or
it
drop an
is.
email at coaching@stat-tech.com. And if you want to work with those guys or anybody else that has done an amazing job at StatCheck, you can find all of them, including Team USA coach Tyler Bertel, at those aforementioned links. Drop us a line, and we'll be more than happy to put you in contact. I think that's probably all I really have to talk about today. I'm going to just move on to some questions because otherwise I'm going to go mad. All right. Starting at the top, Ben F asks, could you make any changes to the dark fight list? No, that list rips. I was so happy with that. I don't think I would change a thing. John ran maces like an idiot. He should have run swords and he would have gone undefeated. How would it do in singles? Fantastic. I think that the only game I lost this weekend was a game where it was very, very much down to a couple of small variances, and that could have been a very, very, very comfortable win. And I think that if you have a list that's like that, then playing it in singles is fine. Like I said, I don't think I had a matchup besides the Matrix that was worse than I had estimated as worse than a 10 all weekend. I had a few matchups in his 10s, and everything else was just like I just beat that. And I don't know how you feel about the Dark Flight Company Hunters list, Anthony.
I think it's fucking bullshit and makes me upset.
I would agree. I
It
do think if
has
you want to play the Nephilim version, that other version is a little more volatile, but is great.
it's just they have every rule. They have every rule all the time at all times. That army is.
I got scammed out of a diff in my gaming in Skark because he drove a Kazakhstan squad forward, popped a Tech Marine and a land speeder, and I only killed 7 back with 2 land speeder vengeances shooting. I was so upset.
Okay.
I know. He scored him tempting target.
Yeah, I suppose that is possible to happen.
I rolled 1 into a 1 on the shots on the second one, and it was just like, oh, okay. And then missed 2 of the shots.
So it
Didn't
goes.
kill them. The Scotch, thank you for the 10 Canadian. I'm glad Innis has to pretend next year that Canada's a tier 1 team. I don't have to pretend. Canada did good this year. They did well.
Yeah, I was gonna say
earned
he
their
doesn't have to
spot.
pretend about shit. Canada just is a tier 1 team.
Yeah, Canada did good, man. I don't go. Their lists were bizarre and their players are weak, but they got that shit on. No, big ups to Canada. You guys did great. Very, very well done. And as much as I do have to crap talk you, and I'm going to continue to do that. You guys did great. And you had very, very innovative lists, except whatever Kaz was playing, which was the most white bread crap I've ever seen.
Kaz loves some Ultramarines, dude.
Kaz loves some Ultramarines. Yates asks, what even for armies or archetypes we enjoy are the changes we would like to see in the data slate? We try not to speculate on the show because too many of our friends are playtesters and we don't want to get anyone in trouble, but thank you for the question. In the upcoming data slate, should DW nerf Custodians or take the common sense approach and merely nerf Folger piles? Absolutely, yes, they should nerf Folger, Patrick. I think that would be very, very, very good for the game if Folger was nerfed.
I think that I don't know that I would say like Custodians need a nerf.
I think you could make a very strong argument that Lion should be a 3DP.
That's probably true, actually. Lions probably should be a 3.
Like, I don't, mind so much. It's not like Might of the Mortoi is like an
I'm gonna be
insanely
honest.
broken detachment, but
I really firmly think that Talons should be 2.
Yeah, I could see Talons and Lions swapping.
Yeah.
All the rest might be a little aggressively pointed.
That's also true. They should probably have a stepper on them.
Yeah. I don't think it's like a fundamental changes though. I think that you could very easily get away with Lions being 3 and like 5 point and like a 10-point stepper, all the rest at 2 and 3. Yeah. And maybe like call it a day there and it'd probably be fine.
The real talk is that you can't fuck with Custodians too much because they are real close to not being good.
Yeah, they're real close. Yeah, which is why I'm like, I think that if you just like shave the Might of the Mortoi bit off of that list is like eminently fair.
Yeah.
Or honestly, like the disruption version that like Raven played for Team Spain was very, very competitive as well.
Sure.
That was I don't think that's sure, but sure. Will says CSM seemed to do all right in WTC. Do we think the faction is still in a good place, or does it need adjustments?
I think CSM's in a fine spot. I think the rest of the game needs
CSM's
to calm the fuck down.
CSM is fine. Renegade Raiders is still pretty solid. Poland had a pretty well performing. Vets the long word list.
I mean,
Obviously,
even the
Pac-Man
PBZ
was still
list did its job. It wasn't exciting, but it was fine. Like,
yeah. PBZ and Soulforge both play Prio pretty well. Yeah, I think CSM are in a fine place. There's just a bunch of other broken
I mean,
stuff.
even Fellhammer is still perfectly good take and hold build. Like I said,
Yeah,
the rest of the game just
it's
needs
just
to
really
calm it the
hard to
fuck
justify
down.
giving CSM take and hold.
Yeah,
Um, we have 4 viable ways to play. Should we expect any adjustments in the upcoming slate? I
hard to say.
don't think they need them really, but do you need to
Again,
buy a third box of emulators to play the French list? That list seems cool as hell.
I'll,
I'm halfway through painting my first 10 Terminators, and I will decide if I want to get another 10 so I can also play the French World Eaters list.
I don't know about all that, but
I
yeah,
don't, I don't either, but it seems fun.
Muties are cool. They're really good. They're very good when you can bring a dude back if they don't all die. I think a lot of the stuff that French list was doing was good.
I like the ability to threat of activate -1 to hit plus -1 to hit plus res a model to make your opponent overcommit into a purge army.
Yeah,
It is a good way to solve the like, how do I get to my opponent with no guns? And I think that they have an interesting way of solving that. And I think the creations list would work very well in a meta that was like a little weaker.
yeah. Just need, like I said, CSM in general just needs the game to calm it the fuck down a little bit.
Yeah, agreed. Which WTC list do you expect to smash in the singles meta?
The Dark Flight list seems obvious, and basically any breed of orcs with a pilot that can rub 4 brain cells
I think
together.
the Freebooter DACA list would pick up if we weren't getting an Art Codex next week.
I mean, the Speedwall Dock list that I played
Yeah.
against, like
I would
all
not be
that stuff.
surprised if like Hackett's like 30 Triarch list picked up a bit. That seems like the kind of thing that's like
List is tough to
fairly.
play, but yeah.
I think it's tough to play, but I think it's the kind of thing that like a dedicated Necron player that's looking for a way to play the game that isn't like Star Shatter stuff could go there.
That's true.
I think there is probably space for something like the T Suns lists that we're pulling up. Like people were just playing good like people had abandoned T Suns, and I think the between like Sam Nash playing 7-0 with the Hex Warp list still. And also I know Taroxa was just still playing T Suns, and so was Jessen, and they all had really good results. I don't think there's any reason that you could like not just play T Suns. I think we'll see a big pickup in Blood Legion. Obviously, David Gaylord is a very prominent voice in the scene and did very well with it. And I think people will be looking to mirror that. I would not be surprised if something like the what's the word? The Cursed Legion list picks up even more. I know that list was already generally on the up. Death Guard players, if you're looking for something interesting to play, Andreas's list is pretty solid in a shooting meta game. Do you think people are going to pick up Pau's Drakari list? It doesn't seem like a thing I think people are
No,
likely
I
to
don't even
do.
think Powell loved his list at the end. Like he was just trying to do a pretty specific job with it. I don't know.
Yeah, it makes sense.
We'll
I'm
see.
trying to think if there's anything else that really stood out to me. Um,
Maybe it's
yeah,
just more random demons things. I don't know. Demons are gonna get hit in some way whenever we get another slate, and it's gonna be a lot of like, what do they do to pick up the pieces afterwards, and we'll see.
yeah, demons have so like demons 1 DPs are just so very good, right? Just as a general though, that I
They're
think we're gonna
so good.
see
Yeah.
like Warp Tide and Cavalcade, like turn one ingress, like that turn one ingress strat just needs to not exist.
That I mean, every time they put turn 1 ingress into the game, it is an objective mistake. So,
Yeah, I think
yes,
that stratagem just needs to change. That stratagem just has to change. Like
yep.
if you change nothing else, that stratagem's got to go. Yeah, no one's picking up our GSC list. Maybe the Canadian final day GSC list will pick up a little bit. I'm not sure I
Maybe.
love it, but it had some pretty good results and Stu did a really good job with it. So, I would not be surprised if that list like showed up a little more. If you're looking for someone to do a GSC, it's probably a vibe. All right. What had the most impact on WTC play and pairings? No light or heavy boards, just A, B, and C layouts, dispositions, or game wins being the first tiebreak. Definitely
Dispose
the
Dawn.
dispos. Dude, if we could just go back to playing the same mission for all the tables, it would make my coach's job much easier.
I think I'm gonna be honest. I think dispos are a design failure, but we'll see how they get on as time goes on.
Dispos are just worse versions of faction secondaries, and I didn't like faction secondaries.
Yeah, I mean, faction secondaries definitely were better than dispos, but I did like faction
Yeah,
secondaries.
I would go back to faction secondaries in a heartbeat if we would all just play the same fucking primary.
You can't have people. I don't know. I have strong opinions about the
I think
importance of objectives in the game, and like,
how much they feel like they don't matter sometimes is
yeah,
crazy. Like, yeah. I also keep getting caught out by the fucking player going first, scoring on turn 5 at the end of their turn, and being like, "Oh, I'm gonna deny. Oh, why am I doing this? What a
yep,
useless mechanic."
yeah,
Um,
yep.
da-da-da.
So that's about
You
it.
get to design the next 3 official GW plushies. What are you making?
Um, hmm,
Possessed Blade.
no. I'm gonna be honest. I fell out of love with EC pretty hard through the weekend.
That's fair.
Um, but I don't know. I wish I had a better answer to this. A
That's
little
fair.
Skatari could
I
be fun.
I don't really have an answer either. I have Bjorn and a Pierogi. What more could I need?
Yeah, I
Um,
love my little
oh, and
pierogi.
I
That
have
thing's the
defect.
best. Oh, that's all right. That's pretty awesome.
So Defiler plushie number 1.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, that's good.
oh, they already have a Watcher in the Dark, but the Watcher in the Dark has a helmet. I want a Watcher in the Dark with a sword, obviously now.
Of
Um,
course.
yeah, it's very important. And I think a plushie. They already do a plushie Ripper, but I think like a plushie, like I think I could go with a Tyrant Guard look very huggable to me. They're very blocky and square. I think a plushie Tyrant Guard would go well. I actually might play the 12 Tyrant Guard list at my event this weekend.
Yeah, that's fair.
I would have to buy 3 more Tyrant Guard, but I could probably talk myself into doing that and painting those in 4 days. Second question: what is the mechanism for becoming part of the support coaching side of Team USA?
We have a application for that. It's usually done through the advisor app, but we'll make a more public thing as we go into early next
Plunder
year.
plushie would be pretty good.
Also, just DM me, Matt. Like we could talk about it.
How would you look at WT lists and teams and assess whether they'd be good for singles or champs for changes for singles? I'm gonna be honest, this year
This
most
is
WTC lists are just kind of singles lists. Like there's definitely like a little bit of some lists are if you look at a thing and it very clearly doesn't have a game plan for anything besides kill things, it's probably
it's
or like
probably still fine in
kill
singles.
if it's probably sorry, if its game plan is kill specific things, it's probably not a good singles list. If its
Yeah.
game plan is just kill things, it's gonna be fine. If its game plan is just score, it's gonna be fine. If you look at a list and you're just like, where is the anti-tank in this list? Don't play that shit. Unless it scores like a motherfucker. That's kind of the big takeaway. I think most lists that there are very few lists I think that you couldn't just like make work.
Yep, I would agree.
I was a bit surprised by the lack of Tau at WTC and also the 50% win rate for EC at the event. Thoughts on those two phenomena? They go second about half the time.
I mean, yeah, that's a lot of it, right? Like the Tau was really good in the end, but you need a dedicated pilot for Tau.
Yeah, we were like reasonably happy with our Montcall list. It wasn't perfect, but like it did a job. I know Poland were pretty happy with theirs. It was their high scorer.
Yep.
Germany's Red Cat, I think, did very well. So yeah, I think Tau seemed solid. EC just like I know a bunch of EC pilots had a really good run, but EC felt like they were an army you needed to pair for quite aggressively and also have landed on the right version of EC for you to do that.
Right.
And it was just challenging. And I think that the list is still just quite vulnerable to there are a few armies that can just like absorb it and kill it, which can be challenging. I know that when I put against DC, like it all into me on turn 1 and died on its turn 1, died on my turn 1. Just having it just like it all into me, it didn't do enough damage and it died. It just all died because you get so like EC is an army that has so much go, but it is also very,
I mean, if
very
you ever
fragile.
bounce as EC, it's curtains. Like
Yeah, Possessed Blade killed 1.5 Deathwing Knights, and I tabled EC the next turn.
Yep.
All right. Does getting fourth 4 times equal coming first once? Asking for a friend. That's from Frederick.
I mean, I think so. I think that's probably real life.
I think that it probably counts as a very, very, very impressive achievement and a lot of consistency, but that it probably doesn't equal a gold star, I'm afraid. You can put 4 quarter stars or 4 quarter stars on your shirt and pretend that it's a real one. I think that'd be fun. Was it a popular faction among tier 1 and 2 teams that broadly underperformed Matrix predictions? And what list did you take that performed worse than you expected? I think we covered the first one already, the second one already. Popular faction among tier 1 and 2 teams that underperformed. I think, no, like, every time we played against Knights, we were like, this is an army we were trying to farm for a 20. I don't know how you felt about that one, Anthony, but I was not
Yeah,
impressed with
we were
Knights.
definitely trying to get after it when we played Knights, but we did not either time. So I'm not sure, but I would mark it that way. Like we got a 12 and like a 6 or some shit against Knights. So
I think we got like a 20, a 20, an 11, and a 10 into Knights.
yeah,
But
so
I was just not impressed with Knights over the event. Trying to think if there's anything else that really felt like it underperformed. Yeah, like just scrolling through the tier 1 teams, like who went negative on tier 1 teams. Like Sam went 2, 3, and 2. Our Pac-Man went 2 and 5. Not the most inspiring. The creations list went 3, 1, and 1. I think Votan outside of the Swedish
outside of
list ended up
Tim,
being outside of Tim and the Swedes ended up being a little uninspired.
yeah,
The Bjorn went 6 and 1. Tim went 6 and 1 with it, and then a lot of other teams didn't have it. Guard, I don't think ended up being like Guard was definitely just a disruption bitch, right? Like I know that Nemo did
I mean
very
it was
well with it
really
in a bunch
good.
of
It's just
games, but
I would describe our guard list as a house of cards built over a campfire. Um,
yeah, that seems accurate because I know that like Nemo, like when Nemo had a tough game, it was a very tough game, and I
yeah,
know that Ed on Team England had a similar experience of just like really, really, really getting the brakes put on him when he played into a couple things. And I don't think for as good as John Winter Russell is as guard as well, I don't know if he would characterize 5-1 and 1. And I know that Skark had like a reasonably like John Winter Russell went 5-1 and 1, but I think his scores were pretty low. I know that Skark had like a lot of 10s and 6s and 11s and things like that, which for a player of Skark and John Winter Russell's calibers is just not what they're looking for in terms of diff. So I think guard, despite being like reasonably popular among tier 1s, didn't end up being that good.
yeah.
For what I would have expected from the caliber of guard players. Um, Ultramarines clearly dog shit. 2, 2, and 3 for Kaz per guy.
I mean, Ultramarines are still perfectly fine as
They're
just not the,
totally,
they're just
they're
in a
totally
marine
fine.
context. They're
Totally
only
fine.
okay.
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah.
there's too much to it past that, man. Like a lot, the
No,
back half
it
of
felt
list.
like there was just a lot of like. It felt like every list had like a couple guys doing really well, a couple of guys doing kind of poorly, and a lot of that's going to come down to what Dispo it got, what Matrix got,
I
and what
mean,
exact build, right?
yeah,
So
and 11th is very bad about exaggerating haves and have-nots. So it feels like if you weren't orcs or marines, you were kind of just like doing your best.
Orcs and Marines were really, really good though.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. Next question: how annoying was getting go to ground in your games? Not that
Annoying
bad.
enough that I really hope they fucking change it.
Annoying enough. I hope they change it, but it like I was playing. I if you were playing an army like orcs, it's very frustrating. I was playing 5 Deathwing Knights. The front 2 guys had to have it, and everyone else stood behind them, and it
Yeah,
didn't matter, right? Like for me, it was very much like this guy's jamming his sword in that building. You see how he's doing that. We're cool with this. Cool. That was about the extent of it.
yeah.
Um,
I hope they change it. It just needs to be different. The way it's
yeah.
currently set up is bad,
I
but I'm
actually think
hopeful.
that like it just shouldn't really be able to like live strongly in favor of you have go to ground until you move, and then once you have moved, you get 15 agility.
I don't love that. The boards are too open for that. But
Yeah, I
well,
think you can make changes past that, right? Like you can reduce the lethality or increase points on things that do the killing quick enough. But yeah. Congrats, Anthony. If you says Grigori, if you knew that winning the Master would lead to a WTC, would you have tried to do it yourself years ago? What's next? Retirement?
no, I would not have. I still think what Folger did is absolutely fucking crazy. Um,
Good
j-
crazy though.
just like I cannot express to you the level of fatigue that is required to play 16 rounds at beyond the highest level. Like far more impressive than his achievement of winning WCW by 1,000 miles is what he accomplished this weekend. Folger has firmly cemented his place in the, if he continues at this pace and trajectory, in the GOAT conversation.
Folger's
That boy,
really, really goddamn good.
that boy is a gamer. And I do not have it like that.
I'm trying to have it like that.
Yeah, I'm not. I recognize my limitations. I could not do that.
Okay, Tom H asks, with scores seeming to be extremely polarized based on maps and deployments, is it more valuable to bring more swiggy lists than blunders and just maximize scores? So we tried that and it didn't really work because it
It
turns out your opponent still brings blunders.
it worked okay for us, but that's born from a space of our players being pretty good at putting the brakes on something bad happening. But like outside of Folger and John, I think all of us on the team had at least one round where we were like, "Damn, dude, sucks." Single digit score or on the low side. Um,
And John
so
had that when his lion died, not when the map was bad.
yeah, but yeah, it's a tough time to be trying to play consistent 40K, man.
It is. Where factions or dispositions more important when it came to pairings. For pairings specifically, it was just about
Armies.
factions
Yeah.
because I don't see like the disposition is written there, but I don't look at it as the person doing pairings. I just trust that my player matrixed for it appropriately when they did their matrix, and whether they were right or wrong doesn't actually like that. That's a thing that we need to work on, but it's not a thing that has a bearing on me personally, right? If that makes sense.
Yep.
What's the coolest non-40K related thing you learned at WTC?
I don't know.
I'm trying
Normally,
to
I
think
have a
of,
better answer for this, but
I'm trying to think of anything I learned at WTC.
I'm just so shot that I can't really remember. Sorry. Good question, but I don't remember. A for effort.
Yeah, great question. Who had the coolest jerseys from Carl?
That's probably Wales.
I'm hurt, first of all. But Wales are
or
pretty good. Wales were pretty good. We asked Scrivo to do ours after I saw the Wales ones because Scrivo did both of ours.
that's fair.
The Chinese ones are pretty good.
The Chinese one was sick. The India-Pakistan one was really cool. The GCC one was pretty cool.
The GCC one was very cool. Who did you get? Who did you get this year?
Whose jerseys did I get?
Yeah. Like teams. I don't you don't remember players. It's okay.
I swapped with Sweden because I always do. I swapped with Aussies. I swapped with Italy. And I don't remember the rest off the top of my head.
Scotland.
And Scotland. There are more in there. This is one of those times where it's like the memory is fading.
Memory hold, yeah. I got Ireland, Northern Ireland. I got Poland, Portugal, USA, Australia, and I got Swedish shorts.
Nice. Hell yeah.
All right. It felt like going first was a big advantage in both scoring and tempo. Do the numbers bear this out? No idea. Sorry, I don't literally don't have the numbers.
I don't know if the numbers do, but like in the games I played, comically, yes. Going first was such a big deal every time.
Yeah, it was very, very impactful. Can we have the WTC hydration stats? I drank more water than I thought was plausible. And if we'd had less than 4 coaches, I might have died.
Yeah.
Did you see the GW Armin variant
the
of
German variant of the Company of Hunters list? I played against it.
Is this
You're
guy's
asking the wrong guy.
Alex, your buttons are broken. Anthony, talk to us about planes for 2 seconds.
They were extraordinarily good. They clean up all the infantry and screens and anything that could really give Arna a problem from getting all the engagements that he wants.
They can also score recon points.
They're just so good. They're just so good. They're -1 to wound all the time. They're functionally immune to melee, especially if you don't fly. Like if you don't fly, they're just actually immune to melee. And then they're -1 to be wounded in shooting, which is super fucking annoying. Yeah, really, really, really good data sheet.
Yeah, -1 to wound flat is pretty gaming.
It was gas.
I remember I was talking to Olivier at the bar on the first night. He was like, "Yeah, we just don't have an answer for them in like 5 of our 8 lists."
Yep.
Which is very funny. It is. How did your GSC perform? Did it meet expectations? Look, the GSC list for us did like extremely fine. It was not. It was very much our disruption list that we brought to do a job. We got a 12-8 into Knights. We got zeroed by Orcs. We got a 9 into GK. Got zeroed by Orcs. Got a 14 into Necrons. Got a 4 into Tau. Then got a 9 into Space Marines. Like it did its job. It scored points every game that we didn't pair it into Orcs. And it was completely fine at that. It needs a metagame that is less able to kill its Ridge Runners on turn 1. Because, man, when you go second against the Scout Army, your Ridge Runners do just die on turn 1.
Yeah.
Not a lot else to it besides that. The metagame just needs to be better. I know that the final day list for Canada did a little better, but not significantly so much. So to be like, yeah, it's like strong recommend. But yeah, GSE's just not in a great spot right now.
Yeah.
What was one army archetype you think a lot of Seed 1 and 2 teams missed? Somehow Darkflight Pursuit, even despite how much of it there was, I think a lot of teams brought things that weren't it, and they shouldn't have.
Yeah. I mean, there was less of that around, I think, than there probably could have been.
Yeah, I think we only played against it twice.
I don't think there was any really big misses, though. I'm going to be honest. I think the meta was like fairly, like, quote unquote, obvious going into the event.
Yeah. How did you feel about Access versus Blood Legion by the end of the event?
I was happy we took Excess. I think Blood Legion was probably really strong, but we didn't see it, and I don't feel too bad
Yeah,
about
that's
it. I
fair.
think it's fine.
I do think that XS versus another Purge versus another Prior Recon list versus Blood Legion versus another Purge list is an upgrade, but I don't think it's enough of an upgrade to be like.
I really wish at the end of the day that I'd have spent more time trying to, instead of finding a way for me to play the EC build that I was playing, found another way for myself to play Purge. I was sad that I didn't play Purge at the event.
Yeah, I think that we would have liked the same for Dan. On a scale of 1 to Satan's asshole, how hot was the venue this year?
It was pretty Satan's asshole. It wasn't as bad as Leoben, but that's like, you know, an unreachable bar basically.
It was way too hot and a bad time to have a new tattoo. Let's go with that.
Same, dog.
We got to time our tattoos better next time.
Yeah, I know, for real. I did get to win 3 tattoo bets this year, though.
I've started doing research already, so yeah.
So
Say the word on what we're getting, and we'll figure that out. We'll have a chat about that next time.
yes.
What makes Dark Angels better than Dark Angles better than Ultramarines in deciding the best SM build right now? Well, Dark Angels are about 300 to 500 points undercosted, and Ultramarines aren't.
Well, they also gave them an insane detachment buff.
Like, yeah, the Company of Hunters is
Company of Hunters got disgusting. A glow up that was so stark that it's like, man, World Eaters would be good if you gave them that level of glow up, dude. Like, holy moly.
Yeah. Unconditional Lance, unconditional Advance and Charge in the Ravenwing detachment was a choice that was made.
Yeah, that shit is crazy.
And like, Company of Hunters and Darkflight should not be takeable together. I don't know. How, there are like 17 ways you can do that. Tag them the same. Tag them Ravenwing. It'd be fine. I mean,
Company of Hunters with the buff that it got should just be
3. Yeah. 100%. But yeah, next year teams are going to be wearing tank tops instead of sleeve shirts.
I hope so. That's smart.
I'm considering it. But the problem with it is where do you put sponsor logos?
I mean, you put them.
Yeah, just cover like nipple pasties.
Yeah.
Paul says so. Anthony can never complain about last minute balance patches ever again, right? And that's just not true. Anthony
that's not true at all.
Anthony is the current WTC champion. He can complain about whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah, not only that, I fucking hated that shit. That shit destroyed like any semblance of like real ability to know what we were doing going into the event. And like, yes, were we the best like guessers and, you know, handling it live at the end of the day? Sure. But that does not mean it was like fun, enjoyable, healthy, or good.
It was none of those things. It was pretty enjoyable. I had a good time at the event,
but not. You didn't have more fun because it was that.
No, not at all. Dennis asks, now that you're free and understanding that things may change immediately, what are you looking forward to trying? Anthony, what specifically for AdMech are you looking forward to trying?
I would love a world where I could be into AdMech. I just think their current codex is kind of boring.
That's fair.
But
Grandma and Grandpa are pretty gaming, and then nothing else is interesting.
Yeah, playing them together is cool. Like Rustalkers are really fun, and that's kind of the rest of it. Just kind of like slides off a fucking cliff. I'm not really looking forward to playing anything. I'm gonna be honest. Like I said, I think 11th needs another 6 months before it's a fun game. I did not enjoy the lead up to this event. I don't enjoy the current state of the game. I think it has a lot of work that needs to be done before it can be fun. And I don't think the new orc things that have been revealed thus far fill me with any semblance of confidence that.
Me neither.
Yeah.
I'm personally going to be continuing my trend of playing. I'm going to try to play a new dispo for every event I play for the first 5 events.
Yep.
That are like single events. Like I'm like not going to do it for I'm not going to ruin my teams for team events and stuff like that. But
Sure.
I've got an event this weekend and an event next weekend that are both like local GTs in Scotland. I'm going to do take and hold for one of them and purge or disruption for one of them. So I can cover off those bases, and then I'm probably going to do disruption last and hope it gets buffed. But if it gets buffed, if disruption gets buffed or other armies get nerfed and disruption is relatively more powerful, I'll play disruption for my one the weekend after next. So I think I'm going to play either something marine shape that plays take and hold, so I can write an article about it, or I'm going to do the assimilation swarm Ned's list.
Seems reasonable.
Yeah, I want an excuse to get my Demon Chairons back out, and they're my Norn assimilators. So
I see.
I'm like, I can play that. I'd have to, like I said, I'd have to buy three more. I have to buy a bunch of 8 bases to upbase my old printed Pyrovores. And then 3 more Tyrant Guard, but I don't mind doing that. Zach asks, for both of you, do you think the balance update you left you in a better or worse situation relative to the other teams? Do you think it led to more or less experimentation?
Much worse.
Worse, I think. I think we
Yeah.
were very, very happy with our comp pre-slate, and we landed on a comp post-slate that we were not happy with.
Yeah. And I don't think it led to more experimentation. I think it just led to more stress.
It led to everybody just being like, oh shit, what happened was we had a bunch of armies that we were really happy with and we thought were really cool. And then we had like 4 of them ripped away from us, and we had to just be like, well, I guess we'll just try to figure some shit out that fits.
Right.
And then we ended up on armies that were like good armies that didn't have the job we wanted them to do. And that ended up being kind of messy.
It's just uncomfortable, hard to, did not, like I said, this lead up is as tough as any lead up has ever been.
Yeah, I somehow think it was worse than the indexing edition. Like
100%.
It was weird that it was, but it definitely was. We had just so much more time without getting like massive changes made.
We at least had stability, which is crazy to say in the index thing to practice.
Yeah, at least we all knew Wraith Knights were broken.
Right.
And Wraith Knights were at least only broken in like 2.5 ways, not 7 like Orcs.
Yeah.
Seeing that most lists were very singles list scores anyway, this is felt surprisingly unplayed. Is this just an issue of pilots or testing any place within teams going forward? I think that purge the full list seemed pretty good.
That purge the full list rips, but the rest of Sisters is just kind of whatever right now, I think.
Yep, pretty much that. Does Inner Circle Task Force still have legs, or is Company of Hunters just a better take commerce for singles? I actually think Inner Circle Task Force is really good still, and is still very, very solid and absolutely worth playing if you don't have to score more than 2 points more than your opponent. It's
so much worse than Company of Hunters. It's genuinely incomparable.
That's also true, but it is still completely good. It's still a completely viable detachment that you will have a good time with playing because it's good. It's also probably quite good into Company of Hunters because it does absorb their pressure like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Run at the Deathwing Knights, mother. Run at the Deathwing Knights. Mine are better than yours.
I mean, I don't think you ever lose that game as Dark Flight Company of Hunters. If you lost that game, you'd have to hang up your fucking gloves, dude. You let the Deathwing Knights hit you or Vengeances. What are you doing?
I don't think that's certainly true. Okay. Yates says, I haven't. Oh, sorry. Isaac says, Anthony, any reason you guys didn't take a T-Sons list?
Because T-Sons is not good. I think T-Sons is an army that you have to princess so that it can get a 10 because it can't play against any form of pressure.
That is, yeah, I think it surprisingly did fine actually for a bunch of teams at the weekend. But
yeah, I mean, you could pair
you could princess
into the pressure stuff, and then it'll get a 10.
You were allowed to princess. I mean, there were people were doing better than 10s with it when they princessed it, but
yeah,
the T-Sun still just do so much damage.
Yeah.
Yates says, I haven't asked in a fat minute, but Thunderhawk and 15 Deathwing Knights? Or Thunderhawk and Samuel Brick because it can carry mounted. You're slowing it down by putting it inside of Thunderhawk. Don't do that. The 5th Thunderhawk and 15 Deathwing Knights does sound kind of hilarious.
That is funny.
Give it Thundercall Turbines. If W gets slapped by a last minute patch again next year, would the experience this year make you consider swapping out another player and taking a coaching position instead? Anthony was already just said he won't be playing next year.
I'm not playing next year.
I will not be coaching next year.
Yeah, this experience burned me out so hard that it burned me out a year in advance. Like, I am not playing next year.
Um, Isaac seduced by a squiggle says, "What should I play at Challengers Cup?" No wrong answers. I mean, if orcs are out, you should probably play orcs,
It
just
depends
based
what the
on
needs of your team are, is the real
you
answer.
should play whatever someone better than you played most recently. Um, Kelrin asks, should Folger change his name to Demon Slayer after his War Masters and teams run at WTC?
Uh,
It's a good
I
name.
I was calling him Syraxes for all of the event and I was Damon because my only job is to just ride around on the big scary dragon and say Dracaris, and then get blasted the rest of the time. That was how we ran the event.
What's the comic called? Kill 10 billion demons or something like that. That should be
Yeah,
Folger's nickname next year.
yeah, yeah.
And then Floof asks, if the top dogs were nerfed back to the middle of the pack, what army would you expect to take their place?
It
Space Marine.
Yeah, it would just be more Space
It's just
Marine
more Space
variants,
Marine.
right?
It's always more Space Marines, brother.
Yeah, I don't think there's too much else to it than that.
Maybe Pact Bound again. Somehow Pact Bound return.
Probably not, but technically anything is possible.
through prayers to the dark gods, all things are possible. So jot that down.
Yeah, I mean that is true.
All right, I gotta go do the call of the high five, Anthony. Vamp for 2 minutes.
Um, yeah, I really do genuinely believe that like 11th will be really good a lot faster than 10th got to be. Um, but I think right now it's I was having a hard time to have a good time, if that makes sense. Um, I think a lot of my opponents were really awesome this year. I did play like a genuinely incredible spread of humans at this WTC, and that made it a lot easier to have a good time. Like you know, yeah, literally every opponent that I played was cool,
That's
which
always
helped,
nice.
which helped a lot. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I played seven. I got to play Skark for the first time. That was really nice. I'd
yeah,
never done that before.
that's awesome.
Turns out he's pretty good. Who'd have guessed?
Yeah, that Scark guy, he's all right.
Yeah, I think he's an up and comer. We should watch for him.
Yeah, people should keep an eye out on that guy, dude.
All right. I'm going to do the call, the high five call. As always, if you are a member of our highest tier on Patreon and YouTube memberships, you can get your name called out at the end of the show. Thank you so much to everybody. I think a couple of people came up to me at the event and got the handshake and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, please do keep it up. It helps us keep the lights on, helps us keep making amazing content for you guys, and hopefully you guys are enjoying what we do. Like I said, we'll have a bunch of post WC content. I'll have my reviews, and we'll probably have some stuff around the Matrix. In fact, we will have some around the Matrix because otherwise they're not getting their events tickets paid for something this year. If they don't make any post WTC content, why do we have them?
Shakes fist.
All right. Thank you to Christopher, Six Sleep Till War Masters Irvin. I really hope not. I really hope we haven't voted for it to be next week. That'd be a tough year. Thank you to Willow Weeks. Thank you to Dan F. Thank you to Luke Harden taking the Subway McCarthy. Thank you to David Clark. Thank you to Just Ayer. Thank you to James H. Thank you to Colton Dan F. Miller. Thank you to Fungus. Thank you to John V8 Gang. I am once again asking for a sub for our Admech player. Thank you to Cam F. Dan Morton. Hog emoji. Hug emoji. Thank you to Archon Biblically Accurate Eldar player Rahal. Thank you to Josiah Gattle. Thank you to Frankie. Thank you to Isaac tonight on StatCheck. Innes didn't score his home. Anthony's an old retired man now, and Team USA are cool Tirada. Thank you to Land Speeders. Thank you to Stephen, WTC, Absolute Cinema No Notes, Ross. Thank you to Tom officially entering my Necromunda Daddy era H. Thank you to Thanks Folks. Thank you to Floof. Thank you to Come With Me on a Gucci Adventure. Thank you to Blank. Thank you to Henry. Fairy penguins are the only nocturnal penguin species, the wizard. Thank you to Penny the Penguin. We'll be very sad if Satchik ends. Please do not make Penny the Penguin sad. This is your penguin fact. Thank you to Matthew Payne, Engine Aficionado. Thank you to Vivian, here to celebrate Jeremy's second place finish at Salt City. Congrats. Thank you I'd like to thank Nathan for applying to attend my Super Major last weekend of August in Ottawa. All of you should too. Ask Rickard for details in the StatCheck Discord. Thank you to Alex, Biblically Accurate, Let's Go Emoji H. And thank you to Luke, USA, 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 Gallo.
Nice.
Guys. Yep. All right, guys. We are done. Thank you so much for being with us. If you enjoyed the show, please remember to do all the social things earlier. Keep an eye out for all of our bonus content coming out. Congratulations to Team America again on their win. Congratulations to Team France on their second place. You guys are putting up a generational run, and you truly deserve all the success that you're achieving. first, second is just an amazing achievement. Congratulations to Spain for finishing third. Thank you. Congratulations to Spain for being most improved. Congratulations to India, Pakistan for being best newcomers. And congratulations to Team China for being best sports. All of you are superstars. I look forward to seeing all of you next year. There's a reason I build my year around this tournament. And it's because of amazing people like you that make it all worth it and make it worth coming out for. Also, shout out to the innovation on the WTC pairings cards of having boxes you tick for your disposition. This was great. You won't have seen these because Sam lost them straight away. But
We had cooler ones.
yeah, can I have my card sleeve back?
Talk to Sam.
I told him to keep them.
Okay, I was gonna say they're
my,
probably
magic
gone.
my magic deck is definitely unsleeved now.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Best of luck with any event you're at this weekend. If you're at a random event called Dusty's Emporium GT in Aberdeen, come say hi. It's gonna be a bit of a scene change. And hopefully it'll be a lot cooler.
Yeah.
I'm going north, Anthony. It's gonna be really nice.
Whoa, that's crazy, dude.
It's gonna be like 5 degrees. It's gonna be so beautiful. All right, everybody.
Jealous.
We'll catch you all next time. It's been a pleasure. Anthony, I'd get you to say the outro, but I don't know if you know what to do.
I don't.